John Nolan, and I'm all on my own this evening because Jerry Gilbert has something else on his plate. We're going to have I am going to have two guests this evening, Celia Bannenberg and Gail Darrell. Celia's from Barrington, and Gail is from Barnstead. And they're going to talk about the community bills of rights. It's a controversial subject, and it flies in the face sometimes of individual property rights. So don't think this Metrocast is endorsing one or the other. It's simply to get the idea out here, and they'll let these two ladies explain it from their point of view. And I suppose I'll be a devil's advocate at some point. Anyway, we'll be back right after these messages with Celia and Gail.
Are you a local business? Are you looking for an affordable partner to meet your advertising needs?
Metrocast Channel 12 can produce your commercial.
Are you looking to create a professional commercial?
Metrocast Channel 12 can produce your commercial.
All right, one more from the top.
For years, Metrocast Channel 12 has been creating professional, affordable commercials for local businesses just like yours. Call us today and see the difference a commercial can make for you.
Fresh homemade food in a bistro atmosphere. Gallery in the Pantry featuring local artists with shows that change monthly and live events to delight and entertain while you enjoy our amazing bakery items, unique sandwich menu, and daily specials. These are a few of the great things you can discover when you visit the Portable Pantry located at 12 Hanson Street in downtown Rochester. Enjoy our creative, custom, and experienced catering for your next event, from office luncheons to weddings. Come and discover for yourself the Portable Pantry.
Welcome to Hagen's Motor Pool, where our service department has over 12 years of experience and is dedicated to fair pricing, honesty, and quality workmanship. At Hagen's Motor Pool, we specialize in German-manufactured vehicles such as Audi, Volkswagen, Mercedes-Benz, and BMW. Hagen's Motor Pool offers auto detailing, New Hampshire state inspections, and has 10 to 20 cars in our inventory at a variety of prices. Come check us out and find out all that Hagen's Motor Pool has to offer.
Never underestimate the power of teamwork, whether it's on the field or in the office. At Profile Insurance Group, our professionals work together to find the best insurance solutions possible, and we'll work closely with you to make sure those solutions are right for your needs. For home, auto, or business insurance you can count on, turn to Jerry Gilbert, Dave Anctil, and the winning team at Profile Insurance. They'll hit it out of the park every time. The Profile Insurance Group. People you know, people you trust. Learn more at profileinsgroup.com.
Sullivan, Taylor's pretty drunk. We're bringing her home.
Unfortunately, those words were never said because the judgment and the reasoning of her friends who might have looked out for her were clouded by alcohol. My name is Kathy Sullivan. My 17-year-old daughter, Taylor, went to an underage drinking party in the woods. She was found 3 days later, drowned in 2 feet of water in a swampy river. I'm telling you my story because I don't want one more family or one more community to go through what we went through.
Welcome back, and with me in the studio this evening is Celia Bannenberg and Gail Darrell, and you're going to explain a little bit about the Community Bill of Rights for Barrington. And that was on the ballot this year. You guys, got a whole bunch of people interested in it. So tell us what started this whole thing and what the bill is.
Well, the Bill of Rights, a Community Bill of Rights, is an ordinance that we have written for the town of Barrington to protect the health and safety and welfare of river ecosystems and our residents from toxic waste disposal and resource extraction, being gravel and water extraction. And we felt a need to do this. It got sparked by something that happened almost 2 years ago in my neighborhood on Green Hill Road, when a company applied for a permit for gravel extraction and blasting, and the whole town was, or not the whole town, but the whole street, the whole road, was upset about that because we live on a rural road and it's residential area. We have a one-lane bridge, And we were convinced that would never happen. We all appeared at the planning board meetings for months and months and months, and came to find out that it was going to happen. And the reasons for that, even if the town had our best interests at heart, their hands were tied. If the permit, if the application is completely filled out okay and they comply by all the rules and regulations, they get a permit. And even if the town wouldn't want to endorse it, the state preempts town law, so they overrule town law.
So this probably goes back even to USA Springs, doesn't it?
Yes, that's
because that's another
thing.
extraction.
Yes, we started writing the ordinance, and our committee was named Barrington. No, it was called Isinglass Protection Committee, because this gravel extraction was going to be right on the Isinglass River, and so.
See, what puzzles me initially, the Isinglass is a protected river, and they have a local advisory board that's looking out for the best interest of the river.
Yeah, but
so
it's only protected for two things, for slaughtering of animals and for waste disposal. And although the Protection Committee, they did their best, and they got 5 acres set aside for the turtles, the wildlife, they are protected turtles, which is really nice that they got that. But I don't think there is going to be turtle policing the turtles.
Now, what are the setbacks from the river? Is it just on one side of the river or both sides?
No, on one side.
On one side, and
they did get a bigger setback, but still, I found out from an acquaintance who works for the EPA that the river is, really going to be affected, because when they take the topsoil off, the rain and the snow will go through the sand and the gravel faster, so that means it goes faster into the river, and that means the temperature of the water, even if it's 1 degree going into the river, 1 degree higher, will affect the fish, and people love to fish the rivers. So we really don't want to have this happen to our wildlife and rivers.
So it went to the planning board. We're not talking about the water extraction USA, we're talking about the gravel.
Yes.
Now, was that in Rochester or was it in Barrington?
No, in Barrington, because the land is in Barrington, but it does border on Rochester, and there are a lot of residents bordering right on it. So they were upset too, but Rochester couldn't do anything about it.
No, because it's in Barrington.
Yes.
And what did the planning board say? Did the planning board grant it?
They had to, because they complied by all the rules and regulations. And one planning board member actually voted against it because it's a one-lane bridge, and the bridge is really not up to 60 big trucks a day going over that bridge. It's in poor shape, and so is the road. It's and
so the Bill of Rights, and we'll talk about this because it's replicated across the state for other reasons.
Yes.
With wind towers and
Right,
and oil or pipelines and stuff coming down.
That's right.
But I don't see how, if you've, what am I trying to say? It went to the vote. And you had 600 votes. The others, they had 800 votes against it. And that was heartening. But the people that voted against it, and I know quite a number, felt that this stuff should be dealt with either through zoning, or when you elect people to go through to Concord as state representatives of the people, that they should be taking care of it.
Yeah, we hear that a lot.
What's your response to that?
We hear that a lot. But unfortunately, all zoning does is it decides which part of your town you're willing to sacrifice for that activity. It doesn't allow you to say no to the activity as such. So you just determine, what part of your town you're going to compromise and sacrifice. The other issue is, going to the state level isn't really the answer either, because the state agencies issue permits for the extraction. So their business as a state agency, whatever it is, you know, if it's Department of Environmental Service or whether it's the Department of Transportation, their function is to facilitate the issuing of the permit to business and industry. So they're not in the business of really denying those permits. And as we know, if you look in the RSAs, mining is something that's allowed in New Hampshire. And so as such, municipalities are told that they don't have the authority to either regulate that or to say no to it. Since it's the state allowing it, you can't, you know,
So,
take.
do you think there's a gap between the people you elect to go to Concord and represent you and their power over state agencies?
I absolutely do, and I think it's always been there, and that's part of the problem, certainly, because if you look back in our history, you know, you can go back to 1640, and the state of New Hampshire, well, then it was the Massachusetts Bay Colony, but we always had this idea that local lawmaking out of necessity was the way that we ran our communities. You know, it would take months for the king at that time to assent to a local law, and a lot of times communities couldn't wait. They needed to make a regulation or a law, and they just went ahead and did that. And so from 1640, we've always exercised that right, and we feel that we're entitled to exercise that right. And when the king got a little too heavy-handed, you know, all along we were very loyal and happy to be loyal to the king and have his protection. But when he got a little heavy-handed with things like taxes on timber and things like that, the people here said, enough. You know, we're drawing a line here because we live here and we should have a right to govern ourselves. That's why we came here.
But the other side of that freedom coin is, and I'm playing the devil's advocate here, is the ability to do what you want with your own land. And the landowner, you know, he owns that gravel bed, and he would feel he has a right to do what he wants with it, you know, going back to the 17th century or whatever.
Right.
So at what point does the community rights usurp individual rights?
And so that's a really good point that you're making, and people always make that point. However, does that landowner have the right to then, you know, insert his rights and take over your enjoyment of your property, or the river for that matter, the Isinglass or any other river? So whatever you're doing on your property, if that negatively impacts your neighbor or the town or the river, I think there's a place where your right to do what you want to on your property ends. And then you have to respect the will of the community to protect that community. I mean, Barrington's very rural. I'm sure most of us would hate to see an end to trout fishing in the Isinglass. You know, so you need to really decide where that line's going to be.
Now, were you surprised at the number of votes you actually got for this Bill of Rights? I mean, I was. I did. I mean, how many? 1,400 people voted. Oh.
Yeah, roughly. Yes, we were very pleasantly surprised. The ordinance, we finished writing it in November 30 of 2013. So we really had only December, January, February to get the message out to the residents of Barrington. And we did that with a brochure, you know, the brochure that we published. And
basically you're saying that Barrington Bill of Rights would trump state rights or state permits. Now, would that hold up in a court of law?
Well, you know,
that's the crunch, isn't it?
Yeah, it is the crunch. We've always had people's movements. You know, when everyone doesn't receive equal protection under the law, it's those people who are denied that protection who then push for that law to change. So, you know, the civil rights movement that allowed Africans to be treated as people rather than property. This is the same kind of a movement where the community ultimately has very little say in the matter, and corporations who are chartered by the state seem to have the final weigh in and carry most of the power in that decision. And the state protects that and then backs them up with a permit and says, of course you have the right to extract as much gravel as, you know, determined by the permit. And if it affects the river and the residents and lowers property values and all the rest, we'll deal with that later. This kind of argument sets up the idea that the community is the one really that has the right to make the decision about how resources are handled, how rivers are protected, and how property values also are protected
Now
in
you've got
that mix.
Barnstead, which is your neighbour Barnstead, do you?
That's where I live.
Yeah.
I'm from Barnstead.
Oh, you're okay.
Yes.
So you have an ordinance like that on
Yes,
the books.
we do.
My old friend Gordon Preston pushed for that one.
He did.
Yes.
He was a great ally because he saw that if water's ruined,
Yeah, he was very apprehensive of what was happening in
At
Nottingham.
USA Springs, right?
Mhm,
And you
USA.
mentioned that earlier. And USA Springs, that's again coming up because most people know about USA Springs. About 10 years ago, how this company USA Springs came and
In this case,
bought
I mean,
land.
it says USA, but it's a European company.
Yes, they were
USA is
going to take
just a masquerade.
340,000 gallons of water out each day.
Yeah.
And well, they did a trial, and they were taking out 150,000 gallons a day. It was a trial meant to be for 10 days, and after 6 days, they were testing the wells and the wetlands, and the wells had gone down in 6 days 4 feet, the wetlands 2 feet. They found toxins in the aquifer.
Yeah, but they got permitted anyway.
They got permitted anyway, so this is the same thing. So what
Yeah.
is happening now
So
is-
Gordon Preston didn't like the sound of that.
Yes, so they passed one first.
in 2006, we were the
right.
first municipality in the country actually to ban commercial water extraction as a way to protect the water.
Yes.
Yeah.
But then
And-
Nottingham followed.
Yes.
Yes, in 2008 they passed it, and oddly enough, 2 months after it was on the books, USA Springs filed for bankruptcy.
No, I talked to John Scruton, who's the town manager in Barrington. He wasn't in favour of this,
Right.
and he talked to his counterpart in Nottingham, and they said it's never been challenged because we don't enforce it. Now, I don't know how much truth is in that.
Well, actually, it's the Nottingham Water Alliance, the people who were responsible for drafting the ordinance with us, and also the people who were responsible for petitioning and then getting it onto the ballot and getting it in place. Those people have been enforcing it since 2008. And what that means, the way they've been enforcing it, is any time somebody would come forward and want to lift USA Springs out of bankruptcy by paying the debt, off would go a letter, nice cover letter from the Nottingham Water Alliance, a copy of the ordinance, a copy of the hydrological study that Ballestero did. He's a hydrologist in the state, connected with UNH. And so all this information would go out, and they would say, you might want to think twice about investing in this company and relieving their bankruptcy, because in Nottingham, it's illegal for water extraction of that sort to continue. And of course, the company or whoever was interested would back off. This was done several times. And now I believe at least 2 out of 3 of those selectmen have said that if push comes to shove, they're going to stand behind the ordinance because they now recognize the value. Yeah.
Now, there was 3 or 4 other towns had this on the books, didn't they?
Absolutely.
In this year.
Yes,
In
we have
New
10
Hampshire,
towns in New Hampshire now with a sort of community bill of rights.
And these other towns, was it because of wind power? Or
It was.
Yeah.
3 of them were for the Northern Pass, to say no to that infrastructure project. And the other towns, it was Alexandria, Hebron, and Danbury this year, who adopted a similar right to a sustainable energy future ordinance to ban industrial wind.
So all the other ones passed, did they?
They did.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
And Barrington almost, well,
Almost.
I don't.
We're going to try again.
Yeah, well, that's my
Yes.
next question. What's the next move? I mean,
Well, the next move
you've
is...
got to convince
Yes,
another 150 or 200 people.
We're educating the people, the residents in Barrington, and the way we're going to do that is by having a potluck every month, starting in July, in different areas of the town. And we'll do a presentation and tell the townspeople what we're doing. And so we already have lined up 5 potlucks, and there might be more. In January, we're going to have a forum with, we're inviting the selectmen and So we're hopefully.
Yeah, the state rep from, or one of the state reps from Barrington called me up, and I mean,
Okay.
and he was opposed to this.
Yes.
He thinks the power should lie with the people at the state, the people at people of Barrington elect them. You know, they'll be probably electing them again this fall. Is it? Is a state election year, or is it next year?
I don't know.
The problem with that is that we've tried to work with the state legislature on this particular issue. As far as, you know, yes, we have a very strong Groundwater Protection Act in New Hampshire, RSA 485. It's great. However, it doesn't allow the community to have any authority over these commercial water extractions. That's the one thing that's prohibited. And that's the area where we feel like community members understand their aquifer better than the state representatives.
The worrying thing I think with USA Springs was, once they began to extract, and if a ban came down, they would have to be compensated at the level they were planning to extract.
Yes, because they can claim...
And that was under the WTO or something like that, wasn't it?
Absolutely.
Was that true?
Free trade. So the free trade agreements say that if you have a contract to extract a certain number of gallons, even if the community is in a drought and the wells are lower and the residents are suffering, you know, having to ration their water, the corporation can continue extracting to the level that their contract demands. So that's another area where, you know, this federal law and then international law really take that control away from the communities, who then are, you know, are under assault and suffer under that kind of legal structure.
Yeah.
That's exactly why we make the argument the way we do. You know, that don't you have a right in your community to protect yourself?
So
The other thing about the gravel extraction too in Barrington was, you were going to allow gravel extraction if the gravel stayed in town. But suppose you have a gravel pit and you want to, you know, take it down to Boston or something. No?
they couldn't do that under our ordinance. But right now, I think we have about 18 gravel pits in the town of Barrington.
And they'd be grandfathered.
Yes, yes, definitely.
But is there room for negotiation in order to win more support, or are you pretty hard line on this? Because I think it's if it's a property rights issue, you know, people with a Tea Party philosophy are going to say, you know, people have got to do what they want with their own land more than a community rights thing.
Well, like Gail said before, you know, if it's going to hurt the community, like for instance on our road, there are at least 70.
Yeah, I know that bridge. I mean, I don't know how.
Yeah, and there's 70 households that are going to be directly impacted. We have kids biking on the road. We have a lot of people that own horses that are walking the horses, people running. Well, nobody in their right mind is going to run or have the kids on a bike when there's 60 18-wheelers going every day. You know, and that bridge, like you said, is one-way lane.
So we're getting flashing signals from the control room there. But
yes.
You're going to have potlucks.
Yes.
Educational potlucks.
Yes.
So
yes. And we have a Facebook page. It's the Barrington Waterways Protection Committee. We actually need somebody to help us set up a blog. I'm not that savvy with electronics. We also need sponsors. We are all volunteers. We need some money to get another brochure out. So we're looking for sponsors and trying for some grants.
So repeat your website or your blog site again.
It's Barrington Waterways Protection Committee.
All right.
On Facebook.
Well, we'll be looking for you again next spring, I guess.
Oh, great.
At least from a
Thank
newspaper
you.
point of view.
Wonderful.
And
Thank
I mean,
you
I
very
can't
much.
wish you good luck, but I've got to stay neutral in this, but I can see both sides of the argument.
Yeah.
Yes,
But
absolutely.
all the best.
Thank you very much.
We'll be back
for
after
having
these
us.
messages.
Are you a local business? Are you looking for an affordable partner to meet your advertising needs?
MetroCast Channel 12 can produce your commercial.
Are you looking to create a professional commercial?
MetroCast Channel 12 can produce your commercial.
All right, one more from the top.
For years, MetroCast Channel 12 has been creating professional, affordable commercials for local businesses just like yours. Call us today and see the difference a commercial can make for you.
Fresh homemade food in a bistro atmosphere. Gallery in the Pantry featuring local artists with shows that change monthly and live events to delight and entertain while you enjoy our amazing bakery items, unique sandwich menu, and daily specials. These are a few of the great things you can discover when you visit the Portable Pantry located at 12 Hanson Street in downtown Rochester. Enjoy our creative, custom, and experienced catering for your next event, from office luncheons to weddings. Come and discover for yourself the Portable Pantry.
Welcome to Hagen's Motor Pool, where our service department has over 12 years of experience and is dedicated to fair pricing, honesty, and quality workmanship. At Hagen's Motor Pool, we specialize in German-manufactured vehicles such as Audi, Volkswagen, Mercedes-Benz, and BMW. Hagen's Motor Pool offers auto detailing, New Hampshire state inspections, and has 10 to 20 cars in our inventory at a variety of prices. Come check us out and find out all that Hagen's Motor Pool has to offer.
Never underestimate the power of teamwork, whether it's on the field or in the office. At Profile Insurance Group, our professionals work together to find the best insurance solutions possible, and will work closely with you to make sure those solutions are right for your needs. For home, auto, or business insurance you can count on, turn to Jerry Gilbert, Dave Anctil, and the winning team at Profile Insurance. They'll hit it out of the park every time. The Profile Insurance Group. People you know, people you trust. Learn more at profileinsgroup.com.
Sullivan, Taylor's pretty drunk. We're bringing her home.
Unfortunately, those words were never said because the judgment and the reasoning of her friends who might have looked out for her were clouded by alcohol. My name is Kathy Sullivan. My 17-year-old daughter, Taylor, went to an underage drinking party in the woods. She was found 3 days later, drowned in 2 feet of water in a swampy river. I'm telling you my story because I don't want one more family or one more community to go through what we went through.
Welcome back to Face Off. My name is John Nolan, and Jerry Gilbert still is not here, and he missed a debate on the Community Bill of Rights. It was held in Barrington in March of this year. It was on the town ballot. Their Bill of Rights got failed by 600 votes to 800 roughly, but they were very heartened by the response, and they're going to continue, as they say, with their education program. So I don't want to say good luck to them, but we'll be watching it very closely to see if it is replicated in other towns and other communities, like it seems to be. Anyway, before we close, I want to remind everybody that on Sunday in Farmington, this coming Sunday, it'll be Memorial Day Parade. I saw the guys putting the flags out along Main Street, and that one starts at 12 o'clock up in Pine Grove Cemetery and comes down the hill and along Main Street. So everybody's encouraged to take part with that one, including kids on bicycles and what have you. In Rochester, the parade starts on Monday, as it always does, at 10 o'clock. They muster up at Holy Rosary Church at 9:30 and come down to the bridge. It's all in the times this week if you've picked the times up. And they proceed from the ceremony at the bridge down to the common, and the whole thing takes about an hour. At the same time, also at 10 o'clock up in Milton, their Memorial Day Parade is in Milton this year. Sometimes it's in Milton Mills. Every second year it's in Milton Mills. This year it's in Milton, which is a lot closer to Rochester for me to nip up there and try and get some photographs. So also at 10 o'clock. So with that, we're getting signals from the control tower, and we'll be back in a month's time with a new program. Good night.
Sullivan, Taylor's pretty drunk. We're bringing her home.
Unfortunately, those words were never said because the judgment and the reasoning of her friends who might have looked out for her were clouded by alcohol. My name is Kathy Sullivan. My 17-year-old daughter, Taylor, went to an underage drinking party in the woods. She was found 3 days later, drowned in 2 feet of water in a swampy river. I'm telling you my story because I don't want one more family or one more community to go through what we went through.